if you're following a bunch of people that are just going to be sharing negative things, you're going to start feeling negatively yourself. But if you start following people that are actually uplifting and hopeful for the future and showing all of the incredible things that God is doing, then that's how you're going to respond, and that's what you're going to be living the life of.
Hey, welcome back to the Aw Shift podcast. We are here with another guest. We always get to interview people who are doing cool things in the world. It's why the whole podcast is around finding out how successful people make shift happen. And today we have a guest who has a really cool journey they've gone through. Being a man of faith, I always respect the individuals in the world who are able to proudly wear their faith, but also help others in the journey. And that's what this individual has done in many ways and still does. And I'm not going to give too much of it away, but they are the author of what's called The Bible Study. I usually don't watch a lot on our guests, but I got a chance to watch a 3-minute video, which was very engaging, of like, wow, what a cool process to create that. And the heart behind it all. But also there's vastly more to this human. They're also the author of a new book coming out called See the Good a little bit later. Depending on when you listen to this podcast, it may be out. Who knows? And then also, I just want to get a chance to feel the man's heart. I know it's not easy to bear the brunt and load, we'll call it, of being a person that's outright and showing their faith to the world, because whenever you put something out, there's always someone who doesn't like it. But we're going to have a whole conversation and unpack it all. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Zach Windahl. How you doing, man?
Man, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on this.
I appreciate
Super
it.
Excited.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man. I like when people are excited to be on, because I find that I really love humans. And so it's always fun to get to interact with great humans who are doing cool things. Not that everybody, in opposite, I don't want to hang out, but it's just always fun to kind of see where your head, your heart, like what the journey was. And so today, as we do this, I want to find also cool moments that people may not know about that were pivotal for you in good and bad ways you learned something from. But I always have one question I start with. And here's a question.
Yes.
I'm walking around town. I sit down next to you at a coffee shop. I don't know you. You don't know me. And for some reason, you turn and start talking to me. Why should I listen to you?
Oh, why should you listen to me? I think I have a pretty unique perspective on life, just based on the way that I was raised, what happened with some stuff in my family, and just kind of the process that I went through, questioning a lot of things that I've gone through, questioning my faith, and really figuring out what I want to do with my life.
It's a good one, man. I bet you got some perspectives people wouldn't. I'm sure some that people would agree and disagree with, which is always interesting. But let's just start at the back place. How were you raised, right? To give we'll call it a framing or a perspective to that. What was the upbringing like?
Yeah, I had a huge awe shift moment really early on. My mom is a 4-time cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
So when I was 4 years old, she was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer.
4?
Sent home with a 5% chance to live.
Wow.
And then she had a tumor on her sciatic nerve. Sent home with a small chance to live there.
Mm-hmm.
Then she had colon cancer with 3/4 of her colon removed.
Wow.
And then when I was 15, she had breast cancer, double mastectomy, reconstruction, the whole deal.
Yeah.
And so literally from 4 to 15, I'm seeing my mom on her deathbed, and that's like your transformational years.
Yeah.
And so during all of that, the most incredible thing was that she would always look at me and say, Zach, it could be so much worse. I could not be here today.
Yeah.
So you need to appreciate every single day for what it is,
Yeah.
and always be looking at how God is moving in your life, because that's going to get you through anything that comes your way.
That's crazy, man. That is not a normal, it's not a normal experience for many humans, let alone 4 to 14 years old.
Totally. Yes. So literally from 4 to 15 was dealing with that and trying to figure out what all this was about, like seeing God perform miracle after miracle, and then questioning my faith, trying to figure out what this is all about and what I want to be associated with and what I want to call myself.
Well, what would be the things that led you to question faith then, right? Because I can see that obviously your mom and that's going on. And then I don't know the dynamic of the household, of the focus of her, maybe away from you or to you. I don't know what any of that's like, but like, what were the things that led you to start questioning? Well, first off, was faith always part of the family? And then if that was, where did you lean in like to having questions about it?
Yeah, so my parents weren't believers early on, and then when she had cancer for the first time is when they became believers and rededicated their life to God.
Yeah.
And so I really experienced God moving in incredible ways for most of my life. But then again, I get to college, I start falling away from my faith, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And even though I saw God move in such incredible ways, I also cared more about like what was going on in the world and wanted to be cool and
Yeah.
wanted to fit in college and like a lot of people go through.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but it is
It is what it is. I mean, good or bad. If you learn from it, it's good, right? I
exactly
mean, weights would be bad for some people, but at the same time, it makes you stronger, man. Some people may hate them.
right,
What
right.
college you go to out of curiosity?
I went to a spot called Bethel University up in Minnesota.
Bethel. A buddy of mine went to
Yeah.
Bethany out here in the Bay Area where I'm from, but I've heard of
Okay.
Bethel, I think. That's cool, man. So
Yeah.
you go to college, you try to fit in, you have this whole journey, and this is where I think I might have picked up some from the story. There was a point in time where you questioned faith and you took a trip.
Yeah, totally. So, graduated from college. I was working in recording studio, clothing line. I was doing a bunch of different entrepreneurial things,
Okay, I didn't know that.
but really, yeah, I literally since I was a kid, I was doing different entrepreneurial stuff.
Oh,
But so when I was 24, or in 26 in 2014, I hit a spot where I was like, man, I don't even want to be associated with a lot of Christians right now. I was letting a lot of other people impact my relationship with God instead of letting God impact my relationship
yeah,
with
yeah.
God, which is what I think a lot of people do right now, and which is why a lot of people are deconstructing their faith
Yeah,
because
big time.
they're allowing other people to influence it. And so I really was at the time, and I was in this spot where the business I was working for was bought out, so we all got let go. Project I was working on fell apart. Relationship I was in fell apart, and I was at this crossroads of, okay, what am I going to do with my life first, and then what do I want to believe? You look out at every religion in the U.S. at least, and everybody outside of Christianity takes their faith very
Yeah.
seriously for the most part,
Catholicism,
and
Mormon, yeah.
yeah, especially their holy books. And then you have a lot of evangelical Christians that have never even read the Bible all the way through
True.
before, but we
Yeah.
say that we base our entire life off of it.
Yeah.
And so I was in this crossroads like, okay, I say that I'm a Christian, but I don't even know anything about the Bible. Like I go to church every Sunday, but I still don't know
What's going on? Yeah.
much about the actual book. And so I went on this journey out to Australia to study the Bible as in depth as I could for 12 hours a day. Literally, like if it was Genesis week, we would read Genesis 5 times through during the week
Wow.
and then develop our own commentary during the week.
Gotcha.
And so by the time I was done with this program, I had 20 to 30 pages of notes on every single book of the Bible.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I really got something here that I think I can help other people with.
That's cool. That's a whole different like way of perceiving. And you're right. Honestly, I grew up. We were Christian on Easter and Christmas. That's when we go to church.
Yes.
And there wasn't anything past
Right.
that. And then I got saved before I went to college, and it was great because it
Yep.
saved me quite literally. And then
Yes.
it's been a journey, up and down. And I find like for me, whenever I did fall away from faith, I got divorced from my wife before we got remarried 3 years later. God was a huge part of
Yeah.
all of it, both the good and the
Wow.
bad experiences, right? But in that manner, I
Yeah.
did fall away, and I found that there had to be a reconnection there for us to reconnect to everything. And
Yeah.
and it's funny is that I didn't start reading the Bible until way later. And I think once you do, you start to
Really?
have like it was like, I think it was during this window of time we were separate that I started like actually reading it. I've been saved since I was,
Yeah.
18 years old, but now I'm 28, 29, and I haven't read. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
You go to church and the pastor pulls the scripture out, but it's like, I don't know what that ties to. And I don't, and so
Totally.
it's interesting. So whose idea was it to go do this whole like tuck away, read the Bible? Was that your idea? Your parents recommended? Where did that even?
It was, yo, it was my idea because so there was a pastor. You remember P90X,
Heck
like the
yeah,
workout?
yeah. Tony Horton, I met him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got a picture with him
Yeah,
somewhere.
amazing. So there was a pastor that did something called B90X. So it was literally read the Bible in 90 days.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, let me do that first
Yeah.
to understand like the big picture of it. And then I was like, I need to get out of Minnesota and I need to go somewhere else that's not going to have a lot of distractions, that's hopefully in a different time zone
Hmm.
so that I can focus solely on this.
Yeah.
And of course, I wanted to surf. And so I
That
chose
can't hurt.
Australia.
There you
Why
go.
not?
Nice. It's like big California.
Yeah, exactly. And so I found a program because I had heard of it a few years prior and looked into it a little bit, reached out to the school leader, and I hadn't done like the prerequisite beginner course, but he allowed me to join the main course, and
Yeah.
that's what changed everything for me.
Wow. Well, how many people were with you? Like just like a small group? Is a
It's
lot
like
of people?
33.
Wow. And you guys
Yeah.
just like tucked away in like a mountain place somewhere? Like where does it all take place?
It was right, it was 10 minutes from the beach.
Wow.
We lived in three houses like that just had a ton of rooms in them, and then
Yeah.
we would go to classes twice a week, and then the rest of the time was literally just on you to study and to do it yourself.
That's cool. And then like do you still hang out or talk to those people that went there with you at that moment in time?
A few of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's,
mean, so that was, how long ago was that now? It was a while ago.
That's crazy. I
Years
just those
ago.
things make me. I'm curious because I try to like put myself in the situation. Go, what was that experience like? Like to just leave
Totally.
your normalcy, your comfort, and go do something that must have been a huge growth. Even like outside of spiritual, but like probably personal growth as well of interaction, traveling, feeling, experiencing.
Absolutely. And I had traveled a lot as a kid, so I had that aspect of it. But when you're living somewhere else that's in a culture that you've never been a part of,
Yeah.
with literally it was people from all over the world. And so we all viewed life different. We all acted so different. And so that really influenced like who I became today.
Yeah.
And it was like the forefront to all that change.
All the catalyst to it. So you go there,
Yeah.
you get these books written up in a sense of like you have your commentary, and then you say, I can help people with this. This is where I definitely like I came across the Bible study, right? How what was the process of saying I got these notes and I'm gonna package them up for people to like? Was it like did someone give you the idea? Did the entrepreneurial spirit kind of creep in from the past? Where did it all come to head and actually move forward?
Yeah, I think I always knew I was going to do some sort of entrepreneurial thing as I got older.
Yeah.
But when I came home from Australia, I was working at a country club that allowed me to have like extra time in my day to
Yeah.
work on whatever I wanted to. And so I was leading a small group at the time. I was adding to my notes, learning, and just getting my content set. And then I was like, man, I feel like I'm supposed to help people because so many people are overwhelmed by the Bible. They
Yeah.
just need their hand held through the process.
Hmm.
And so I was praying about it and I felt like I should create this thing called the Bible study. And so I spent the next 9 months kind of narrowing down my notes, taking out my opinion on a lot of things, and just adding questions to help somebody read through the entire Bible over the year.
Yeah.
And then also figure out what the book means to themselves. And so I had this product ready to go, and I didn't know what to do with it at that point. I didn't know how to make a book. I'd never done that before.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was just a file on my computer and it sat for a while. And then people started just giving me money. Like, here's $2,000.
Yeah.
Print some promotional copies. Here's 500. Make a website.
Had they
Like,
seen the book
here's
before?
no,
What it
but they
was?
just believed in me.
Oh wow.
And so I was like, man, maybe I could raise enough to print this and do it myself.
Yeah.
And I started talking about it, and everybody that I talked to, especially like large Christian leaders, were like, no, you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste your money, don't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I started a Kickstarter campaign in June of 2017,
Okay.
and we ended up raising $24,000 in
Wow.
pre-orders in 30 days. And I was like, okay, man, we really might have something here.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I printed the first 1,000 copies of it, and after it came out, it didn't do very well. And I was like, what the heck? We just had this awesome
campaign.
Kickstarter campaign. What am
Yeah.
I supposed to do now? And I just kept pushing forward. I kept adding different aspects in. So running ads, connecting with the right people.
Yeah.
And I started to build out a team. And over the next few years, we grew the business. Now we've shipped over 300,000 packages, so close to 500,000 copies of this book sold.
Yeah.
Literally all independently.
Wow.
And like we just signed a distribution deal the last 4 months
Wow.
that is going to take us to the next level.
That's super
But
cool, man.
we've just been figuring everything out
On
ourselves.
your own. I feel like it's interesting is all the hard stuff, you mentioned it's like this, but there is I think the last 60 seconds you stated things that I think is really the weight of all this. Like you're like, I don't know how to do it. So we figured it out. And then I got a team. And then it's like, oh, you just got a team. It was just like that. I woke up one day, right? How'd you get people? Well, now here's my question, because you have to have people that believe in what's going on to be part of it, to help it grow, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that, anybody that may have a vision or a dream or trying to create something, right? What are some of the things that were necessary for you when it came to growing your team and having like a vision that they could buy into? Because I get what the book is, but maybe it's a good question. What is the main mission for it?
Yeah. So from there, we developed an umbrella company essentially called the Brand Sunday, and everything that we create under that is tools to help people grow in their relationship with God and understand the Bible better.
Gotcha.
And so when it came to building out this team and getting people behind it, I kept a full-time job for the first 2 years. So literally I was paying 17 other people before I paid myself $1,
Wow.
because every dollar that we made for that
Like, yeah.
2-year process went right back into the business.
Yeah.
And so like I was working corporate job in sales, and
Wow.
I think that's super important. And then I realized that I'm good at a few things, but I'm really bad at a lot of things.
Smart.
And I knew a lot of people that were really good at the things I was bad at.
Yeah.
And so instead of me trying to figure out how to become good at them, I would hire them to fill the needs. And so it started off by all of our customer service, and then all of our ads, and then just getting the right marketing in place and going from there. And now we just hired a COO last year that's been a game changer, because it's allowed me to just focus on creating new products.
Yeah.
And really getting the right people in the right places so that I can focus on the areas that are going to grow the business to the level that I want it
Yeah,
to
they
be
say, do what you do best and then fire or hire the rest, not fire. Maybe do fire, but do what you do best,
Yeah.
hire the rest, right? That I think is
100%.
one that people, they don't grasp, is you actually have to have a vision that's clear. I love how you could state clearly what the Brand Sunday was. Not everybody can always do that. And then it's hard. If they can't see the vision, they can't see where it's going, and it doesn't build and grow. So you build this, you've launched this, it takes off and goes. What has been kind of, I guess as this goes out and that many people, 500,000, people, what's been the response from the work you created, and what's that feeling been like for you?
Yeah, man, it's the most humbling thing in the world. Like, I had no idea that I was going to help people understand the Bible, just because it was a thing that I was struggling with. So I made something that would help me. And it just so happens to be that a lot of other people also struggle with the same things as me. And so I think from the beginning, it was like, let's create products that I would use myself and really fill that personal need, and see if it would also help others. And so just seeing how it impacts people is like, it doesn't even make sense to me a lot of the time, because maybe it's because I don't like,
Revel in it all the
I
time.
don't, I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird, man. Like when people are like, wow, you've completely transformed my relationship with God. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
That's nuts. Just because I was struggling with the Bible, it's incredible.
Yeah, but it's your path, man. That's interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to see something you've done and it's been birthed from you, go and actually make the impact you expected to. Because not everybody's able to do that, unfortunately. It's not something random.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think is innate, and how much was, like, I guess, built over time? Because I'm always curious of where these talents, the fact that you were an entrepreneur early on, trying to solve problems, I feel like that's got to play something into it. But like, what happens when you get to those moments where you're like, this is just overwhelming? Like, not even just the positive, but like the difficulty to keep moving forward. What you do in those moments?
Yeah, that's where it's so important to be surrounded by the right people. Like my wife is a huge voice into my life, especially when I'm going through those tough moments. Because there's a lot of times where it's like, man, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to give up right now. It would be so much easier to do something different, to do what I was doing beforehand. But I feel that conviction inside of me that it's like, man, if I can help one person, I can help 10 people. If I can help 1,000 people grow in their relationship with God, like that's greater than anything else that I could focus on.
Yeah, that's big.
So, yeah, man, being surrounded by the right people and just knowing that that I have a purpose to do this. And
Yeah.
like every business that I did in the past, every time that I failed, and I failed a whole lot, I learned from every single one of them.
Mhm.
And that's what set me up for success with this one, because I think a lot of the times we can try to do things ourselves and we'll fail and we'll learn and we'll grow from it, but unless it's in God's will, it's not going to be the success that it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I really aligned like my purpose with God's will for my life, I believe that that's when things changed for me.
I like that. At one point, my pastor said you have to make God your business partner. Is what he told me.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting way for.
100%. Co-creating with him.
Yeah, it's a whole different world when you do it that way. And so you've built this thing. You've got these other things. What are some of the other products that are in the brand Sunday? I actually only know of just
Yeah.
the Bible study.
For sure. So we have something called the Best Season Planner,
Okay.
which is a 90-day planner.
Mhm.
We have these things called icebreaker cards, which are literally just icebreaker cards for
Yeah.
your small group or for your dinner table.
Yeah.
We have a Bible trivia book. We have a book called Launch with God, which helps people launch businesses in partnership with God. And we just released something new called the Holy Habits Pad.
Mm.
I'm a huge advocate in mental, physical, and spiritual health
Yeah.
and growing in all those areas. And I think if you're thriving in all those areas, you can love the people around you better. And so just released those pads. We have some clothing. We're leading a trip to Israel next year, and got a new book coming out this year called See the Good, which I'm super excited about. It's all about finding faith, gratitude, optimism in every single day.
Well, that's good. I like that, man. I think we do all need to find that because we don't always have that prevalent in the social media world or
Totally.
I don't even watch the news anymore, man. Like the news, if it's on,
Right.
it unsettles. I'm not even kidding. If it's on in the building somewhere, like in the room, it's unsettling
Yep.
because they're just so negative. So where did that book kind of blossom out of? Was it a thought and you just sitting there? Like where did
Yeah.
that one kind of come to be birthed?
It's interesting because, like I was saying with my mom, like she really shifted my mindset on life, and I kind of just assumed other people had a similar understanding of life than
Yeah.
me. And then there was one day when I posted on my Instagram story, and I was like, "Do you believe the world is getting better or worse? And do you believe it's becoming easier or harder to be a Christian?" And 84% of people said that they believe the world was getting worse. And I
Yeah.
just found that to be so fascinating because if you look at a lot of the big picture statistics around the world,
Yeah.
we're actually going in a positive direction.
Really?
And so,
I'd have been in the
and that's like
84.
for almost every category.
Huh.
And so I really dove into this whole project for myself, even to figure out, okay, why is it that people view the world the way they do,
Mhm.
and where is God actually moving, and what would be different if we focused on how God was moving instead of on how bad things were, and how that would transform our lives to be much more positive, much happier, much more hopeful for the future and all that, because it's so common to just be focused on the negative things that are going on
Mhm.
and thinking that the world is about to explode.
Yeah, and I can see that. And maybe it's because we can see more of it. You know, growing up, you didn't see everything going on in other parts of the world unless you were on the news or at
Totally.
home, right? So now it's all in your phone, your watch, it's pinging, it's everywhere. But it's odd that you say
Right.
that because I do, and I almost feel bad now saying this, but like if you were to ask me, I would be like, yeah, I feel like things are getting worse. Like what's being changed,
Totally.
adjusted, like there's the world's slipping into a weird place. But at the same time, it's just what's being reported by the media stations usually that are designed and actually thrive off of sharing negativity because we
Right.
for some reason as humans, so where would you even find, well, I guess see the good's one way. How would somebody see the good? Like where do you find
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different books about it that are out right now. Like, there's one called Factfulness. There's one called Human Being.
Hmm.
There's one by Steven Pinker that's awesome called Enlightenment Now. There's actually a lot of books out right now that are trying to shift people's mindset around this whole concept that the big picture stats are actually going in the right direction. And I think a lot of it has to do with who we follow. Like just like you said, like if you're following a bunch of people that are just going to be sharing negative things, you're going to start feeling negatively yourself.
Yeah,
But
extent.
if you start following people that are actually uplifting and hopeful for the future and showing all of the incredible things that God is doing, then that's how you're going to respond, and that's what you're going to be living the life of. And so I love helping people, like, or at least encouraging people to unfollow people that make you feel a little something different, make you feel pretty negative. And so I think if you do that, it'll transform who you are and who you're becoming.
I like that. I feel like it'd be beautiful. I don't actually follow a bunch of weird negative stuff. You know what it is? I feel like my wife and my like friends, they share things with me. That's where I get all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm sees that I watched it. But I think it's also, do you have kids yourself?
No.
No, see, I don't. I wonder. I'm not saying there is. I wonder if there's a dynamic in there that, for me, like the world my kids are growing up in, and how they interact and what's being done is vastly different than it used to be. Whether it's the way that the politics are going, and I'm not a big political guy, man, but it does affect the world.
Yeah.
But I think there's something in that makes me look at things going on and go, oh man, I get worried. I think I get worried.
Yeah. And I never want to be like blind to it, for sure.
Yeah,
I
not
think
naive.
there's so many bad things going on, and we have so far to go still.
Yeah.
But if you do look at it, it's like, wow, we've really grown a lot, even over just the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And that gives us hope for the future.
Gotcha. So who's the book for? Is it for the person who doesn't see the good in the world only, or like who's ideally the one that should pick this bad boy up?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's for late 20 somethings, early 30 somethings,
Yeah.
people that are my age, sort of, that are looking at life like, yeah, everything's kind of falling apart, but is it really? And I think this will give them a new perspective, and I think it'll make them just a better person and
Yeah.
better in their community as well.
I think the big thing of it too. Like for my kids, things happen, and I think perspective. I always say perspective precedes enlightenment. The aha moments.
Yeah.
And if you don't have perspective, understanding how to find it or being around people that have it, just those little perspective shifts make things different, where you can be more grateful, more positive. It's funny we're having this conversation. My youngest son, we got 3 kids, and I have twins, and he's youngest by like an hour. And he's been this little thing lately where he's been a little more entitled than I like. And I grew up without anything, and this kid has everything. And my wife, she runs college track, different conversation, different time. But she had some of her teammates come over and were amazed that there's food in the pantry, and we have, it's a nice street. You can go outside and ride your scooters around. Where they live in this area called Oakland, where like you can't go outside and play, right? And so my son last week, I go and take him to the field with his buddies twice a week. I'm a present father. And he's at the field in like a crappy mood, you can tell. And we get back and I go, what's wrong? Why can't you just smile? He goes, I have nothing to smile about. And my wife lost it. she's like, whoa. She went off on a little tangent, but that's one of those moments. It's like he didn't see the good. He didn't have the perspective. Just so we're clear, I took his bed out of his room. He slept for 2 nights on a pad on the floor, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna physically strike you.
I love it.
We're not gonna physically strike you, but I promise you, dude, we're gonna make it clear that this is not all that bad. And so 2 nights ago.
Wow.
2 nights ago? I think it was 2 nights ago. He's excited. He's going to bed. I wasn't around. My wife goes, why are you so excited? He goes, I get to sleep in my bed tonight. Like, he got it back.
I love it.
Right? It's something so simple. But I do think the perspective is, dude, it's such a huge piece of all of it. Because without that, all you see is what somebody else is forcing you to see.
Right. That's it completely.
Heavy way to live life, man. So what does the future hold for the Sunday, the brand Sunday? What are the next thing? Obviously, the book's a big push right now. What are you guys internally excited about as things progress forward?
We're so excited. We have a kids book coming out in September. So it's literally the Bible study for kids. So we worked with an incredible illustrator, and it's at print right now. So that's coming out in a couple months, which we can't wait for, because we realize that a lot of our audience has younger kids. And so why not provide something for them to grow as a family as well? So super pumped about that. The main focus is that, as well as see the good. So this year is going to be pretty big in that range.
I like it, man. And then, for me, it's always a matter of like trying to find out this is going to be a good question. We have a final question we always ask people, and we're not quite there yet, but I'm curious to see your answer. But I love that you created a brand and a business around, something that's so passionate, like at your core, like it's who you are. And my assumption is when you've come back to God, right? You had your situation. Obviously, it'd be clear. It'd be weird if you were running a business and didn't have, a faith in God, yet you are.
Right.
That's a good question. Maybe did leaning back in even beyond the Bible study has serving at a level of it's definitely discipleship, right? In that, has it helped strengthen your relationship with God by helping others strengthen theirs?
100%, because it gives me hope. It gives me encouragement to see other people growing themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes me want to grow deeper and have better answers to things and to experience God all around me. And so even when it comes to like social media presence and creating content for my TikTok, like it's so cool just seeing people like excited about certain things that I
Yeah.
post. And then I'm over here like studying every morning, like I got to come up with something great
Yeah.
because I want to learn something really cool for myself and share that with others.
I
And
like
so
that.
I think the more that I see people grow, it pumps me up even more and makes me want to dive in deeper.
I like it. And I think it also probably, what I'm hearing in there is it forces you in a positive way. And maybe forces a negative connotation to it, but it drives
Yeah.
you to actually better yourself. Because anybody that leads, like
Yeah.
one of my fears as being a leader is like that I stop the things that keep me in a position of leadership, which is knowledge or
Yeah.
an energy of proactive improvement. And so what you're saying is like I thrive and love to learn, and then the beautiful thing is I get
Yeah.
to share, and it keeps me in that position of being a good leader. And you probably feel confident in doing so
Totally.
also.
Well, yeah, 100%. And it wants me like it makes me want to keep learning and
Yeah.
growing myself. So
I like
I
that,
love it.
and I like that you were able to create a process and a product where you can stay in your pocket of just you get to pretty much have fun and create and think and be in the box, and then
Yes.
kick it off to
It's
the
a game
team.
changer.
It's huge, and it's hard to get there, man. It's how did you feel with trusting people in the beginning to do this the way that your heart wanted to be done?
I think I just trusted that people knew things better than me. So if
Yeah,
they were like down and they believed in it, amazing. Let's figure it out. And
yeah,
sometimes it doesn't work.
yeah,
Sometimes you try with some people and you move on to somebody else.
hmm,
But I think all of entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster.
yeah,
You have your ups and downs and you see what works and what doesn't. And so that's my life all the time is like, let's test things. If it doesn't work, we try something different.
yeah. I have a weird question. This is going to be odd, and I'm curious to see. People are usually successful in business, in my experience, and I don't know why this happens. Men, for some reason, mostly men, they don't seem to have a ton of deep relationships outside of the work pocket. Do you fall into that, or do you have like some really good friends who don't care at all about what you do?
I think most of my friends don't care about what I do,
Okay,
which
good.
is awesome
You're
because
right.
it's never been that. It
Yeah.
hasn't been that until the last few years. I'd say
Ah,
literally in the last like 9 months, even more so than anything.
wow.
Like my entire life was always about what I was doing,
Yeah.
and my friends were along for that ride.
Hmm.
And it was just recent where like a lot of my relationships changed over the last year,
Yeah.
and I focused more on having a few really tight ones
Yeah.
instead of being friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool thing for me because then I don't feel obligated to say yes to things that I don't want to be a part of.
I like that. And I just, this was a random, genuine question because I, for some reason,
Yeah.
find that like people I talk to, like they're like some of my clients, one of the things they don't have is friendships. It's all work,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, I think there's like my best friends, and we all go back to like third grade, man, like the same. They could
Yeah.
care less what I do, quite literally. Like, don't even want to know. You know,
Totally.
it's the oddest thing, and then we
Yeah.
just spend our time talking about like kids and the garage gym and like stupid things we're doing in life, like we would when we were little kids. It's there's a piece to it.
I love it.
I find that it actually allows me to recharge. Like I don't have to feel like I'm always in that mental
Yeah.
pocket. What does your wife like think about the way and the pace and all the work and everything? How long? And we'll actually get how long she been around the world of what you're doing? Was she there
Yeah.
in the beginning, and did she come in and once you've already kind of got your stuff moving?
She came in halfway through and got married 2 years ago,
Oh,
and she
congrats!
works for the company as well. So
Yeah,
she runs all of our social media and is just a big part on like our video and photo side.
yeah,
And it's incredible to be able to do it together.
yeah. It
And she
is.
also keeps me My default is work 16, 18 hours a day,
Yeah.
like grind constantly.
Yeah.
And she slowed me down. She told me, like,
Good.
she's taught me really like the value of spending time with other people
Mhm.
and actually making real friendships.
Yeah.
And instead of just always being in that mindset. And so I feel like over the last year and a half has been a huge shift for me
Mm.
of like, okay, what's really important to me and where do I need to spend my time and what do I need to say no to?
Yeah.
I think as younger people, you always say you want to say yes to everything,
Everything.
just because you don't want to miss out on stuff.
Hmm.
And I've really learned to say no to a lot and yes to only the things that are actually going to uh, grow my relationship with God or grow my relationship with my family or
Yeah.
my business.
It's big. And that's the thing. It's a learned thing.
Yeah,
I think back to those days too. When I was like 20, I would sit at a Starbucks for like 16 straight hours and create stuff and write
easy.
stuff. And no problem, right? I would open and close the place. I'm
Right.
not even joking. I would open
Yeah.
it and close the place. And it is. And then you get to this point now where it's like, I won't do that. People are like, well, you're missing out on that. I'm like, am I
Right.
really going to miss out on it? Like, am I really, what's it? I mean, you have to like frame it. And I like that
Yeah.
you're talking about that from a place of having success because everybody does. One thing that threw like popped into my brain too is like it's kind of big for someone to get into a relationship, have a way of doing things, and allow the other person to give perspective on their life, and then actually adhere, take it in, and make adjustments. Because
Yeah.
there are guys and girls who the spouse is like, you're working too much, and they'll say that for 20 years. And they'll hate it, but you're like,
For
hey,
sure.
this is. Now, was it because of the relationship, or was it because you finally saw she was right? Because I'm sure she could have been the only one who told you stop working so hard.
Yeah, I believed her the most out of
There you go.
everybody else that have been telling me that for a decade.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you want to know what? You're right. If I want to have a thriving marriage, if I want to be gr- living it to the best of my ability, then I need to listen to her
Yeah.
and slow down and actually compromise on some stuff.
That's cool. I say this from personal experience too. I'm like, that's smart because I honestly, I did the same thing. But when my wife and I remarried, did a lot of my time,
Yep.
like I shut things down at about 1 o'clock. I get a workout in at 1.
Yeah.
I pick my kids up at 2:30, and I'm just dad the rest of the day. And there's a lot that
Totally.
I do, but you know what it does, and maybe you can attest to this. It allows me to be very hyper focused on the time I am at work to get very good work done. Because if I don't, then I take it home and it messes things up.
And a lot of people don't have that. So that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's big, man. Dude, I've thoroughly enjoyed hanging out and talking with you. Where is home, by the
I'm
way?
so
Where do
happy
you
we could.
where you live in Wisconsin still?
Now I'm in Minneapolis. In Minnesota, we were living in Miami the last 2 years,
Okay.
and now we're back in Minnesota.
That's a big change, man. Minnesota.
Yeah, tell me about it.
My sister lives in Minnesota. She invited me to go. Well, her husband invited me to go up, and he's like, "We got this hunting cabin in the woods." I'm like, "That sounds like a scary movie plot. I'm not going." like, let's go hunt. It's like you have to hike up to it or something. And like, well, is there any power? No power. There's nobody up there. And what if like there's an emergency? Oh, yeah. Like nah,
Right. You
nah.
figure it out.
I'm good. And like you could like go up there.
We're different up here.
It is a different breed. They call them. I've heard that recently someone said the flyover states. I'm like, because you fly from the coast to the coast,
Totally.
don't really
Yes.
stop in. What was Miami like? What? Miami. I've never
Man.
lived in. I've been to Miami once. That place it's fast. Miami's faster than I can
Yeah.
feel comfortable as.
Totally. I think I would have thrived in Miami in my early 20s,
Yeah.
but now I'm in my early 30s and it's like, man, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I love visiting. We go back probably every month or every other month
Yeah.
because we still have family down there.
Makes sense.
And it's just it's a different pace of life if you want to be there full time.
Yeah, I find that happens. I've just had this conversation a couple of days ago with my wife and some friends, and I think when you're in your 20s, people go, "Hey, what are you up to?" It's like it's the thing to be like this and this, and it's chaos.
Totally.
It's a little bit of controlled chaos. But then when I find people in their mid to early 30s who are still doing that, I'm like, I can't be around you, man. Like it's too
Totally. Like, it's so
calm it
much.
down, right? It's almost like it's a good thing when my best friends, what's new? Dude, nothing's new. Wife's good, kids are
Yeah.
good, health's good, business is good.
Right.
Good. Like there's,
Yes.
yeah, it's the maturity.
There's just something about it. I feel that so hard.
Something about peace. And I think there with that peace comes, I think there is more freedom in an amazing marriage. Like because I'm not having to think about courting and all that. We thrive in what we do and we support. And then also like having peace allows me to find the pieces of my heart to share. Like there's something that I can sift through, because the surface chaos isn't all over the place. It's like I can touch base and I can think back and I can actually extract and create more. And I'm sure in your product creation process, some of that has to come to the forefront.
Yeah, 100%. Like having peace and having a clear mind is huge, because then you can really focus on what that next thing is and where you're going to go from there. But if you're always distracted, you're never going to have the clearest of thoughts, and it's never going to be to the best level that it needs to be.
True. Yeah, just spread all over the place. Man, all right, here's the final question. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Here's this. What promise did God make to the world when he created you?
Oh my goodness, that's quite the question. How are you just going to drop that?
Someone asked me one time, and it threw me, and I was like, that's the question. If I ever have a podcast, I'm going to ask everybody. And so it's your question to answer now.
What promise did God promise to the world?
Yeah, what did God promise to the world? So here's my son, Zach. Hey, world, I promise you this from him or with him.
Yes. I think he's going to help me see, or he's going to help you see where I'm moving in the world and be hopeful for the future.
That's a good one. I could take that. I dig it. Be an example of it. What's going to happen? Being who you are, what you do, it's probably going to sit on you for a few days. Let that one simmer, bro.
It is. Totally.
And then start asking other people. It's you know what it does. When I was asked, it pulled me out of my head of like, because we think purpose. What's your purpose here? And purpose is something where it's honestly like whatever I think I want to give for the most part. But then when people ask me what was the promise, it makes me go to that part, that quiet part that really knows what I think I was supposed to be doing that I might not always be doing. And so, and I go, oh man, I'd be doing that right now. And it's a little bit of a poke in a positive way to extract something. But yeah, dude, that one simmered for a while. Have fun with that.
That's such a good one, man.
Yeah, it's different. Where can people come and find you, find the Brand Sunday? If they want to come get some more, Zach, where would I send them?
Yeah, thebrandsunday.com, Zach Windahl on TikTok, Zach Windahl and the Brand Sunday on Instagram. And keep an eye out for the new stuff coming later this year.
Yeah, when's the book supposed to take off? When is it launching?
Kids book in September, See the Good in November.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you guys make sure you go grab those. Go follow the man. He honestly, his wife does a good job. She makes great content. It's fun to watch. It's engaging. It's solid, man. I got to give you that. I enjoyed when I was scrolling through and watching. YouTube looks slick. Yes, good job, man. Seriously, I appreciate you spending time to come hang out with us and share all the cool things got going on. Those of you in the world who were tuned in, thank you for hanging out with us. You could have been anywhere, doing anything, watching cat videos and who knows what, but you chose to hang with us. So thank you. If the episode in some way benefited you, I have a humble ask, which is share it with somebody. I don't know who needs to hear it, but if you know that within this, some message needs to be shared with someone that you haven't been able to get across, sometimes other people can do it. A guy like Zach, who has a story that's powerful, and maybe the person that you love needs to hear that story to get that catalyst push. Or just share with the world, put out in the ether. Sometimes just kicking a button and put it out there and someone grabs it that you didn't even know and doesn't even know you. But hey, the algorithm is amazing. Outside of that, as always, make the most of your awe shift moments so you can make shift happen. It's Anthony Trucks and Zach Windahl signing off. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Awe Shift podcast. I pray that we gave something amazing to your life. And if you found this episode served you in some way, I would love if you could share it with people you know, people you love, as well as your community, because you never know who needs that simple little seed that can grow into something amazing for their life. And the actual training doesn't stop here. If you want your free copy of the show notes sent to you after every episode so you can get the major points consolidated down, simply go to textanthony.com and message the word notes. Till next time, make shift happen.